It sure is hot in these parts, Emory said, and dusty, too. Yep. Job was a man of few words, and the few words he was a man of usually only came out one at a time. Job, you ain't said no more than 10 words since you drug me out of Austin, and now we're in Arizona. I wish Mr. Beauregard Taggart had sent a more talkative man to come get me than you. Job summoned up a large gob of phlegm and spat it on the ground. Some of the gob landed in his beard, but he made no effort to wipe it off. My God, it's hot, Emory said. Look at my horse. I believe he's going to keel over dead any minute. I ain't never seen a horse sweat so much. Arizona, Emory went on. I always heard it was hot out here, but people always said it was a dry heat, like that somehow made it better. Well, goddamn, Job, you people can keep this dry heat. I figure 150 degrees is 150 degrees, no matter if you're dry or not. My God, my tongue's about to shrivel up and fall out here pretty soon. Job turned a squint-eyed glance at Emory. I reckon you'd like that just fine, wouldn't you? Emory said. Yep. My God, Job, you can be a cold one. They rode along for another hour with no words between them. Emory's horse did not keel over dead. It seemed to Emory that Arizona was nothing but hot dust as far as the eye could see. At times, he almost regretted leaving Austin, but then he thought about the $2,000 in his boots, and it lightened his mood a little. Not much, but a little. Bounty hunting was a hit-or-miss game, and to be paid $2,000 up front with the promise of another $5,000 after the catch was an unheard-of situation. Unheard of to Emory Crider, at any rate. Of course, nothing about this current affair really followed the rules. A month after leaving Austin, Emory still had no idea who exactly he was supposed to be after. Job, a giant bearded man covered in dust, had simply walked up to him outside a saloon in Austin and handed him an envelope with $2,000 and a note in it.
I require your esteemed services in hunting a derelict. Our sheriff is a drunkard and not up to the task. Please accept this partial payment in advance. Another $5,000 is yours once the job is done. Come quickly. My colleague Job will be your guide. Yours truly, Mr. Beauregard Taggart, Phoenix, Arizona.
Emory spotted a little something in the sand. My God, Job, stop your horse, he said, holding up a hand. Job did. Emory jumped down and walked over to the little something in the sand. It was a dead lizard. He picked it up by the tail and examined it. Will you look at this? He said, holding it up to Job. Job squinted off in the opposite direction. This lizard's dead and there ain't a mark on him. No scratch or bite. This lizard just dropped dead out here in the heat. My God, Job, what the hell sort of place is this that it just kills lizards? How can people live out here? He considered the little lizard for a moment, then tossed it aside. Job spat. I wish I hadn't gotten off that horse, Emory said. The heat had taken its toll, and climbing back up in the saddle seemed an arduous task. He managed, but then spent a minute just sitting on the horse catching his breath. It's just my luck they ain't got the railroad built out to Phoenix yet, Emory said. Job snapped his reins, and his horse began moving forward. Emory fanned himself a few times with his hat, then caught up to Job. Both horses moped along at an incredibly slow pace. Emory opened his canteen. It was about half empty, and this dismayed him. He took in a small swallow, just enough to wet his lips and tongue. All of it was absorbed before it hit the back of his throat. He capped the canteen and put it back in the saddlebag. Job hadn't opened his canteen once since they'd left the last town almost 10 hours ago. How such a large man could go so long in such a hot and dry place without so much as a sip of water puzzled Emory. Job had filled his canteen in a horse trough. That also puzzled Emory. He wasn't keen on drinking trough water. Not that he ever had. But Job was an odd character. Emory spotted several buzzards circling about a half-mile off to the south. Them buzzards must be blind or stupid, he said. If they had any sense, they'd be circling over us. I don't imagine we'll last much longer out here in this heat. I'm sure we're a sight better meal than whatever they're circling over now. After a pause, he added, It's probably another heat-stroke lizard. Job pointed ahead and spat. On the horizon, barely visible behind shimmering waves of heat, Emory could see a town. "Is that Phoenix?" he said. "Yep." "Well, I'll be. I guess we just might make it after all."
Windy thoughts upon the avenue, standing here and wondering what to do.